here's a new SCP report, ma'am.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'll review it right away. Welcome to SCP Reports. I'm Mr. Hellsing. Today's SCP is an SCP tale requested by a YouTuber called Russell. The SCP tale is Re-Promotion Part 2. If you have an SCP or creepypasta or pretty much anything else you'd like me to read, go ahead and let me know in the comments or send me an email at officialscpreports@gmail.com. 11/19/2000. Begin log. 4:35. SCP-2422-D rises from bed. D moves from Chamber 7 to Chamber 5. 4:36. D moves from Chamber 5 to Chamber 2. D moves from Chamber 2 to Chamber 9. D moves to the center of Chamber 9. 6:04. D moves from Chamber 9 to Chamber 2. D moves from Chamber 2 to Chamber 5. D moves from Chamber 5 to Chamber 7. 6:05. D returns to bed. End of log. 11/21/2000. 11:47. 2422-A and 2422-B approach each other from opposite ends of Chamber 5. D approaches Chamber 5 from within Chamber 2 behind B. A and B approach the center of Chamber 5. A moves towards B, attempting to kiss it. B forces A away from itself, pushing it into a wall. B exits Chamber 5. 11:48. D enters Chamber 7 and lays on its bed. End of log. 11/29/2000. 22:53. 2422-B stands toward the center of Chamber 2, drinking apple juice. A lies on its bed in Chamber 8, asleep. D lies on its bed in Chamber 7, reading a biology textbook. 22:54. Camera activity is interrupted. Camera activity resumes after a total of 3 seconds of inactivity. A and B lie facing each other in their shared bed in Chamber 8. D stands in the center of Chamber 2, staring at a puddle of apple juice and an array of shattered glass. End of log. 11/30/2000. 8:23. B kneels and retrieves a large sliver of glass. B walks to the western wall of Chamber 2 and kneels in front of its kitchen sink. It opens the cabinet underneath and stores the glass shard inside. 8:24. B stands, does not move for a moment, then quickly washes its hands. 8:25. B walks to the northern wall of Chamber 2 and retrieves a broom. B carefully begins to sweep the glass remaining on the floor into a pile. End of log. 12/5/2000. 4:35. D rises from bed. D moves from Chamber 7 to Chamber 5. 4:36. D moves from Chamber 5 to Chamber 2. D moves from Chamber 2 to Chamber 9. D moves to the center of Chamber 9. 5:21. D assumes a seated position on the floor and begins to rock in place. 5:46. SCP-2422-B begins to stir from sleep. 5:51. B rises from bed. D begins to rock at an increased pace. B moves from Chamber 8 to Chamber 5. 5:52. B moves from Chamber 5 to Chamber 2. 5:53. B retrieves a glass from a cabinet and fills it with tap water. It drinks, standing in front of the sink. 5:55. D begins to make inarticulate noises of distress. 5:56. B moves from Chamber 2 to Chamber 9. B embraces D from behind. B begins to whisper to D. 5:58. D ceases vocalization. 6. B and D stand. 6:01. B and D move together from Chamber 9 to Chamber 2. B and D move together from Chamber 2 to Chamber 5. B and D move together from Chamber 5 to Chamber 7. 6:02. D returns to bed. 6:03. B moves from Chamber 7 to Chamber 5. B presses its forehead against the southern wall of Chamber 5. 6:05. B moves from Chamber 5 to Chamber 8. B returns to bed. 12/9/2000. 1252. SCP-2422-B stands at the sink in Chamber 2, washing dishes. 2422-A moves from Chamber 1 to Chamber 2. A begins speaking to B in a low voice. B does not initially respond. D moves from Chamber 7 to Chamber 5. C moves from Chamber 6 to Chamber 5. 1253. A takes B by the shoulders and forces it to turn around. B shakes it off and speaks sharply to it. C and D move together from Chamber 5 to Chamber 3 and look into Chamber 2 through the open doorway. 1254. A and B continue arguing. 1256. The argument between A and B grows more heated. D begins to rock rapidly. 1257. C embraces D from behind and begins to whisper to it. 1259. B slams its hand on the counter and begins to reach for the cabinet under the sink. 1300. A strikes B across the face. B collapses to the floor. 1301. D begins to vocalize uncontrollably. A shouts at C. 1302. C carries D from Chamber 3 to Chamber 5. C carries D from Chamber 5 to Chamber 7. 1303. A moves from Chamber 2 to Chamber 5. C lays D in its bed. It continues to vocalize. A moves from Chamber 5 to Chamber 8. 1304. C lays down beside D, embracing and rocking with it. 1305. B rises to a sitting position, leaning against the kitchen cabinets. 1306. B reaches into the cabinet under the sink and retrieves a large shard of glass. 1307. B stares at the glass. 1308. B begins to weep. D ceases vocalizing. 1313. D falls asleep. 1224. 2000. 1612. B enters Chamber 2. B approaches the box sitting on the table in the center of Chamber 2. 1614. B removes a chicken ready for preparation from the box. B begins to prepare the chicken. 1847. B finishes preparing the chicken. 1849. B summons the rest of SCP-2422. 1850. SCP-2422 converges on Chamber 2. 1851. A speaks jovially and kisses B on the cheek. B stiffens momentarily but then relaxes and kisses A back. 1853. SCP-2422 convene around the table to eat the chicken. 1225. 2000. 04. D rises from bed. 05. B sits up and stares at a sleeping A. D moves from Chamber 7 to Chamber 5. B retrieves a shard of glass from under its pillow and brandishes it. D moves from Chamber 5 to Chamber 8. Camera activity is interrupted. Camera activity resumes after 7 seconds of inactivity. 06. A and B lie facing each other in their shared bed in Chamber 8. D moves from Chamber 8 to Chamber 5. 07. D moves from Chamber 5 to Chamber 7. 09. D returns to bed. Interviewed. SCP-2422-D. Interviewer. Dr. Foreword. Dr. suggested that D might be the most willing to share what information it could about Wandering Father out of all the members of SCP-2422, due to its seemingly limited self-awareness. Dr. carried the interview out himself with the supervision of an on-staff behavioral therapist. Begin log. Dr. Good morning, 2422-D. -D. What's that? I'm sorry. What's that on your coat? That's the Foundation logo. Oh. So, -D, that's me. Yes. Well, we were wondering if you could tell us about Wandering Father. Why? Well, because it's important that we know more about him. I've been reading about snakes. -D. Did you know that serpents don't have hands? I'm sorry? They don't. It says so in my textbook. -D smiles. Okay, good to know. Now, about Wandering Father. He made me. Yes, we know that. Can you tell us who he is, what he wants, maybe where he lives? He is beautiful. What does he look like? He is unknowable. -D, I need you to be straight with me. He is eternal. Answer my question. Who is Wandering Father? Shut up. Excuse me? Do not presume to give me orders. I am a soldier of God. Alright, I think you need to sit down. What the fuck? You believe you are the high and mighty because you imprison that which you deem unclean? Because you charge into any situation where you see possible gain? Because you have hostage the sons of Adam side by side with the spawn of Satan? How do you know about— You believe you are capable of understanding God? That's not what— Oh, but it is. And you do. You don't believe in God. Shut up. I'm sending you back to containment. Do not tell me what to do. God shall strike you down, you and all other sinners. He shall release his creations upon the earth, and I will be by his side, laughing as you feel the flames. Okay, that's enough. Dr. stands. I said, sit down. Dr. screams and falls back into his chair, as if forced by an immense weight. Stop it! You are not God. You are a pathetic, whiny bitch trying to make your way in a world that has no place for you. I ought to kill you here. I'm sure it would make my charges safer if you were— Guards summoned by the observing therapist enter the room and sedate -D with a projectile syringe. Holy fuck, get him out of here. End log. Closing statement. SCP-2422 was placed under increased security for several months. Such measures were deemed unnecessary as SCP-2422-D seemed unlikely to repeat its outburst without provocation. The behavioral therapist who summoned the guards was given a commendation before being administered Class C amnestic. Interviewed. SCP-2422-C. Interviewer, Dr. Welsh. Foreword. Following -D's outburst, it seemed important to understand SCP-2422's origins and true purpose. Given her positive relationship with -C, Dr. Welsh volunteered to perform the interview herself. Begin log. Dr. Welsh. Hello, -C. -C. Hi, Doctor, what's up? Listen, we need to know about Wandering Father. Is this about what -D did last week? Listen, you know he's not usually like that. This isn't about that. That incident just served as a reminder of how unpredictable and dangerous you four are, and how little we know about this man. You think we're dangerous? I do. And from now on I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Can you do the same for me? -C pauses. I'll do my best. Okay, who's Wandering Father? I don't know. That's alright. Where does Wandering Father live? I don't know. What does Wandering Father look like? I don't know. -C. -C pauses. Who else is watching? Nobody else can see in here. Bullshit. That wall is one-way glass. The room next door is electronically locked. Nobody's inside. It's just us. Okay, I'm gonna tell you a story. Okay, I'm listening. You can't share it with anyone, do you promise? I promise. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Misty. She lives in Toronto, and she loves to live. She has lots of friends, loving parents, and a good home. She is 16 and has never been pregnant. She's only ever done pot once, and that was an accident. She loves chocolate chip cookies and Once Upon a Time, and she has 14,000 followers on Twitter, and life is great. Do you understand? I do. Okay, so one day she meets this boy named Abe, but he's really a man. He's 20 and he has a cool car and a nice chest and a fuck ton of charm. He flirts with her, hard and often. He will not leave her alone until she is his girlfriend. Being the poor, naive creature she is, Misty ends up dating him. Christ, she came pretty close to putting out for him. Pretty predictable, I suppose. Anyway, one day he asked her to come down to his basement. He says he wants to show her a science project. She agrees, and the next thing she knows, she's tied to a pole in a dark room. It's cold and she's thirsty and something smells rotten. She later finds out that as she went down the stairs, he hit her on the back of the head with a ceramic plate. Oh my god. When she wakes up, she calls out into the darkness and finds out she's not alone. There are 4 other people down there with her, 2 men, 1 woman, and a boy. They're also tied up, and have been down there for different lengths of time. They hear someone walking upstairs and everyone goes quiet. Then Abe comes downstairs and turns on the light. The room looks like a normal rec room. The prisoners don't seem to be organized at all. They're just tied to things that don't move. No planning seems to be involved. Abe approaches Misty and she sees a glint in his eyes that was never there before. She is terrified. Abe tells her that everything is assembled and his project is about to begin. Her first thought is that he's trying to make porno. She is so innocent. Then Abe unties the first of the men. His name is Jeff, and leads him to another room. Jeff makes eye contact with the second man, Dave, as he passes. He says something that Misty can't make out. Looking back later, she realizes it was probably "I love you." "Are you okay? Do you need a break?" No, I'm fine. If I wait, I won't be able to do this." Abe leads Jeff into another room and shuts a thicker door behind him. The remaining four wait in silence, straining to hear anything they can. After about 7 minutes, there's the sound of a scuffle, then gunshot. Jesus Christ. Dave screams. The boy, his name is Zane. He starts crying, and Abe opens the door and walks back into the room, still holding the gun, and he looks right at Misty and says really calmly, "That trial failed." -C pauses. Then he unties Misty and begins to lead her into the room, and Misty resists at first, but he puts the gun to her head so she cooperates. He sits her down and says, "Let's try this again." He pulls out a pocket watch and begins to swing it in front of her face, explain to her how sleepy she's getting. Misty has seen the blood on the wall beside her and decides to play along. She fakes every reaction the way she thinks he wants. After he thinks she's under a spell, he tells her that Misty is no more, and that when she wakes up, she won't remember anything about her old life. Then he begins to explain to her what her new life mission is, to bring people joy. He says when she wakes up, her only thought will be how best to bring joy to people, only stopping short of sexual favors. This, he says, is a restriction he is placing only on her because he genuinely likes her. He tells her that he will give her special powers through an injection, powers that will help her know when she is fulfilling her purpose. He says he stole the formula from the master database of a worldwide anomalous power. Do you know anything about that? He wouldn't have been talking about the Foundation, but I know of several other organizations he could be referencing. Christ, more organizations? Well, that part doesn't really matter. After he finishes his hypnosis and establishes what he calls a trigger word, he says if he speaks it, she'll fall back into a trance immediately, then selects the word phallic. He injects her with something and tells her to wake up. Slowly, ever so slowly, she opens her eyes, silently counts to 3, then smiles very wide. "Hello, sir," she says. "How are you today?" He says, "I'm fucking fantastic, SCP-2422-C. Why don't we introduce you to the others?" Misty says, "I love meeting new people." He takes her out into the room and introduces her to the others as the thing he called her before, SCP-2422-C. Misty stays in character as best she can the whole time, and he tells them what a success she is, and they pepper her with questions, trying to get her to remember them, trying to get her to see. What's worse, every time she looks into one of their faces, she feels an additional wave of confusion and despair washing over her. The emotions feel alien and foreign, completely different from her own experiences with them. They invade her mind without warning and trickle out slowly, fling their residue all over the walls of her brain, and leave a bitter taste in her mouth. And she has to keep smiling and tittering at everything. -C takes a breath. Eventually, he ties her back up. He says one miracle is enough for that day and that he is exhausted. He says he'll deal with the next two the next day. She keeps that smile plastered on her face until the lights shut off and she hears him close the door at the top of the stairs. Then she starts to weep. She tells her fellow prisoners everything as quickly and quietly as possible. She tells them what they have to do to survive. Dave does not stop crying the entire night. None of them sleep. By the morning, she can hear flies buzzing in the next room. They hear him going about his day for most of the morning. Then there comes a knock on the door. The voice is female. She comes inside and makes her way to the couch. He seems to bring her something from the kitchen. None of the prisoners can make out what they're saying. They stop talking for a while. Then she leaves. Abe comes down the stairs. Misty greets him and asks how his day is going. He tells her it's the best day of his life. He's met his true love. Despite everything, Misty finds this like having a sack of bricks dropped directly onto her stomach. She keeps her smile, though. Her smile is impenetrable. He takes the woman, her name is Cassandra, into the smaller room. She looks at Misty as she passes. Misty keeps the smile but wishes Cassandra luck with her eyes. The 3 remaining prisoners wait, tense, for about 2 hours, but no gunshots ring. Abe returns with a very cheerful Cassandra and introduces her as SCP-2422-B. He ties her back up, then takes Dave into the room. Cassandra's smile falls from her face as soon as he turns around. She does not cry. Zane does. Misty does too. Misty, The prisoners hear Dave weeping again. He must be seeing the corpse of his boyfriend. The other three tense, but he does not die. A nuclear family needs a father. He is in the room for 2.5 hours. When he returns, he's positively bouncing. Abe ties him up and says he'll finish with Zane the next day. After he leaves, Cassandra calls him a psycho fuckwad. Dave suggests that his philosophy might not be all bad. At first, Misty doesn't understand what happened, but she quickly realizes. Abe had more practice when he worked with Dave. His work clearly isn't perfect, but he doesn't seem to have failed entirely like he did with her and Cassandra. That makes her even more scared than she already was. Abe is not just a man raving in a basement. There might be more sadistic hypnotists out there, maybe even talented ones. No one is safe. If it's any comfort, there are no others on our radar. It's not. The next day, the girl comes over again. Their discussion gets more heated. He shouts, she shouts. Glass breaks. She leaves. He comes stomping down the basement stairs very early. It must be before noon. He stands, seething, at the bottom of the stairs, then he shouts at the top of his voice, "I was gonna fuck her!" Then he unties the kid, Zane, and practically drags him into the next room. Dear Lord. The two are in that room for 4 hours. Abe shouts and raves. Several times we hear him slap Zane. The gun goes off twice, and still he continues. He drags the boy out, battered and bruised, and tells them that his new name is SCP-2422-D, and he will act as a police officer. If any of us ever cause unjoy, we will answer to him. He shows us the inside of Zane's left arm, practically holds it to each of our noses. It's riddled with puncture wounds that look like bug bites. Some of them are kinda swollen. One is a little green. He says he emptied his stash on the kid, and he doesn't even know the full extent of his powers. He says he knows it won't mean anything to us. We don't remember our conditioning at all, but he wants to give us fair warning. Then he ties Zane up and leaves. Are those 2422-D scars? Yes. After he left, we asked Zane if he was okay, but he didn't respond. We asked him once more and more different questions, but he didn't say anything. Zane was gone. Abe had succeeded on one of us. That night, I actually fell asleep. When I woke up, we were on the side of the road with 2 envelopes, one addressed to us, one addressed to the Foundation. The one addressed to us gave us directions here to Site 17. We began walking. And you made it here. There's more. Dash-D always fell asleep first. We all walked all day, but he was still 12, you know, so after he went to bed the first night, we all agreed to fake like Abe's hypnosis had worked on us too, because we don't know what Dash-D is capable of. After that, we worked on figuring out what our new powers were. Those we had. He hadn't had to hypnotize us to give them to us. He injected us with something. None of us liked it. All of us were upset and disturbed. None of us could talk about it. We hoped something might change once we reached this mysterious Foundation. We hoped that at the very least you would kill us. But hey, look where we are now, all doped up and ready to go. Dash-C pauses. We never talk about Wandering Father or our emotions because Dash-D can't tell how we feel about anything unless we talk about it. So we don't. I'm sure you've seen his wrath on the cameras. He makes them cut out sometimes. Only for a few seconds though. That's all the time he needs. He's not autistic, he's still in shock. He just follows his programming to the letter. Are you certain? Yes, I promise. Well, I guess I can't talk at all around him now. I've told you my whole story, so anything I say will make me think of this. Then he'll hurt us all. We have amnestics I can offer you to help you forget this interview. No, I need to remember that someone knows. I need to remember that there is hope. Misty is not dead. Neither is Cassandra, and neither is Dave. We're prisoners of Wandering Father and of SCP-2422-D to this day. But now someone can free us. Someone knows. Is there any more to your story? Nothing important. Okay. Is it alright if I send you back to containment now? Oh my god, I upset you really bad. I'm so sorry. No, don't be. Don't you dare feel sorry for sharing your pain, ever. Do you understand me? Yes. Good. I'll see you on Thursday, right? I'll see you then. Goodbye, Misty. Hey, Stan, sorry to dump all that on you like that. My guess is you'll understand why I did it. I need you to understand, not just know. My words can't do what theirs can. Now you understand why SCP-2422 is so difficult and taxing to deal with, all of it, but there are a few more things you should know. 1. We are the only two who know this information. I conducted the majority of the interviews myself. Dr. Cardinal was killed in a car crash last year, as you know, and Dr. willingly took amnestics after his interview with 2422-D. Everyone else operates under the assumption that 2422 live only to make people happy. 2. 2422-B made a similar confession to -C very soon after. Almost all the details matched up, so I didn't include it. She, however, claims that Dave died in the basement, and Jeff is the one we currently call -A. 3. All 4 members of 2422 have scars on their inner right arm, similar to -D's. Take that information and its implications as you will. Please don't disseminate this information at all. I've chosen you because I can trust you. That's why I'm being so casual about this. That's why I sent it to this account, not your work one. We don't know what 2422-D is capable of doing to its family members or to personnel. Not that we can't handle it, but we don't know if it's worth the trouble. Treat them like people, okay? I've pushed their humanity to be recognized for years, and I'm passing the responsibility of that maintenance on to you. Hold it carefully. I'll still be working under you in the project. If you need any help, just ask. You the man. Seriously, Lizzie Welsh. Former SCP-2422 Project Director. Secure, contain, protect. Well, I tell you guys what, that was a lot of freaking reading. It was a fun SCP to do, but it was so long, and I'm so glad I don't have to read it anymore. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget, if you have an SCP, CreepyPasta, or pretty much anything else you'd like me to read, let me know in the comments, or shoot me an email. Thank you for watching. I hope I'll see you in the next episode.